Hello Math 20-2, welcome back. Today we're going to learn how to multiply radicals. So to start off, I really believe in doing this exercise here as it's just a little review of how we multiply. So if I go for, and this is just a distributive property, so if I go 4 multiplied by x plus 8, what must we do here first? We must multiply, it's everything in the brackets is being multiplied by 4. So really this is the same thing as 4x plus 4 times 8 is 32. This 4 must be multiplied by all of those, because it's saying we have 4 groups of these. Okay, so we have 4 of these x plus 8s. Okay, so that's why we have 4 x's and then 32, because there's 4 groups of 8, 4 groups of x's. Okay, so right here it's saying negative 2x multiplied by 3x, negative 5. Okay, so we must multiply this into both. So it's going to give me negative 6x squared, and negative 2x into 5 is plus 10x. There we go. Now the next part here is we're going to use the FOIL. There's many other ways of using the FOIL. There's other methods, but you could do the claw, there's the happy face, you make the face, but right now we're just going to go the way I do it. So the way I go for this is I'm thinking x must be multiplied into everything. So I'm going to first go the x multiplied into this. So 2x squared plus x. So this x must be multiplied into everything into this bracket. So now we have to go the 6 must be multiplied into everything in this bracket. So my x is done. So we have plus 12x plus 6. So what does that give me? 2x squared plus 13x plus 6. Now here's this next one. I am first going to multiply this 5 into everything in here. I'm just going to go left to right, and then I'm going to multiply it out. We have 3 different things. So 5 times 2 is 10x minus 15, right? Because remember, it has to be multiplied into both. That's the key thing. And then we multiply this all by 4x plus 7. Okay? We don't multiply this 5 into both brackets, because just multiply. If I have, let's say, 3 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 2, do I multiply this 3 by both the 4 and the 2? No. I go 3 times 4 is 12, then multiply by 2 is 24. I don't multiply it into both. So if we have 2 different brackets, it's okay. It's only when there's an addition or subtraction that we have to do this. Now, we have to go, same thing as what we did this one. So I'm going to first look at my 10x. So 10x multiplied by 4x is 40x squared. Then we have to go 10x multiplied by 7 will give me plus 70x. So my 10x is done. Now let's look at my negative 15. Negative 15 times 40, or times 4x, is negative 60x. Negative 15 multiplied by 7, well, that's going to give me 105. Negative minus 105. Okay? So now I'm combine all my like terms. I'm going to get 40x squared plus 70x. Oops, not plus 70x, plus 10x, because I have 70x minus 60x is 10x minus 105. Alright? So here's an investigation that I encourage you to do right now based on the square roots. So trying to multiply, see what happens, and then we're going to go from there. So if you did the investigation, you should be able to figure these out here. We're going to follow these rules for multiplying. Okay? So the first one is multiply where possible. So root 5 multiplied by root 2. Both of these have the same exponents. They're both square roots. Neither of them is cube roots, so they're both square roots. So we can multiply the radicands together. So that's going to give me root 5 multiplied by 2, which is the same as root 10. Okay? Now this one here is root 6 multiplied by root 6. Well, that's root 6 times 6, which is square root of 36. Well, what is the square root of 36? That's the same thing as saying 6. Okay? This one here is a little bit more complicated, as we have this 2 and this 5. So let's try and solve this one. And we have these numbers here. So first step is numerical coefficients by numerical coefficients. So let's multiply these coefficients together. We're going to get 8. Next step is we multiply radicand by radicand. What's 5 times 6? 30. There's in the radical, so it's 30. Okay? Now we put it into mixed if possible. Can this be put into mixed? Well, 30 is 6 times 5. No, there's no way this could be put into mix, so that's just the same. Leave it like that. Let's try this next one here. So step 1, we multiply coefficients together. We get negative 15. Then we're going to multiply the radicand by radicand. That gives me the square root of 3 times 3, which is 9. Well, what is the square root of 9? That is 3. So that's going to give me negative 15 multiplied by 3, which is equal to negative 45. Okay? This is saying, if I square this, what is that saying? Multiplied by 4, square root 5. Okay? So that's what that one there is saying. So how do I solve this? I go 4 multiplied by 4. First we do our numerical coefficients, which will give me 16. Then I go square root 5 multiplied by square root 5, which is square root 25. Well, what is the square root of 25? I can simplify, that's just 5. So it's 16 multiplied by 5. Okay? Which will end up giving me 50 plus 50 plus 30 is 80. Okay? So it gives me 80. Now let's try this one here. This one's a little bit different. So we have negative 7 multiplied by negative 7. It's going to give me, what's a negative multiplied by negative? Positive. So we get 49. Root 3 multiplied by root 7 is root 21. Can this be simplified? No, it can't. We can't break that down anymore, so that's as far as I go for my answer. Alright, now we're going to look at number 2. It says, determine the following products. So root x multiplied by root x. That's the same thing as root x squared. Well, for square rooting a square number, it's the same as the number itself, right? It's like we have 2 x's. Okay? Let's try the next one of this one, because remember we take out pairs to take them out. 8 times 9. Well, 8 times 9 is 72. And we have root a multiplied by a, which is a squared. Well, there's 2 a's in there, so that's 72a. Alright? Next one. So here we have to go coefficient by coefficient. We're going to get 10. Then we're going to go root x, y. Can I simplify x and y? No, I can't, so I just leave it like that. Example number 3. So we have Michaela and Richard are determining the radical product of the following. Michaela multiplies coefficients and multiplies radicands, then converts the answer into simplest radical form. Show her method. So step 1, she multiplies both. So 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. 8, and then we have square root. Then we go 8 multiplied by 12 is 96. Now she wants to figure out how this could be broken down. So we have 10 and square root of 96. Well, let's take a look at factoring out 96. We know that is 8 by 12, because that's what we did first. Okay, now 8 could be 4 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 6, 2 and 3. So we're left with 6, because we have one pair of 2's, another pair of 2's. Okay, and what's left with? 6. These guys don't have a partner, so we have 6 in the middle, we multiply those together. So I do this together, now I get 40 square root 6. Okay? Now Richard converts each radical into simplest radical form first, and then determines the product. Okay, so Richard does this first. So he goes 2 root 8 multiplied by 5 root 12. So let's break this down. This is the same as 4 and 2, 2 and 2. Well, we have, so this here is equivalent to 2 multiplied by 2, because we can take out the pair of 2's, square root of 2. Now let's break down this here to its factors. 4 and 3, 2 and 2. Oh, we have another pair of 2's. So it's 5, all multiplied by 5, multiplied by 2, square root, and what's left over? This one I'm going to get 3. So now let's multiply these together. This is 4 multiplied by 10, which will give me, I'll just first write it out. gives me 40. Okay? Root 2 times root 3 is root 6. So we are left with that. And notice how they're the same answer? So there is more than one way of solving these. Okay? Some ways you might find easier if we simplify first. So sometimes simplifying first is easier, like this here. You're multiplying in smaller numbers. Whereas here we're multiplying big numbers, and you really have to know your numeracy. So sometimes if you can, multiply into mixed radicals first before we multiply. Okay. Here's my next example. It says, determine the area of the rectangle, expressing your answer in simplest mixed radical form. So we want to find the area. Area, we know, is equal to length times width, or base times height, whatever you want to say. If I look at this, well, we have my length and my width, my base and my height. So that's 4 root 28 multiplied by 3 root 25. Huh. Well, these here, 28 times 25, I don't want to multiply. That seems like a big number. So I'm going to do, which was, if we look back to the last one, we're going to use Richard's method. Okay? So let's break down 25. That is 3, and this is 5 times 5, which is 5. 3 times 5. Square root of 25 is 5. What about 28? That's 4 and 7. 2 and 2. So that's really 2 root 7. So this is really 4. We can take out a pair of 2's for the 28, multiplied by 2, left with square root 7. This next one is just 3. And the square root of 25 is 5. 3 by 5. So we continue this, and we're going to get 8 root 7 multiplied by 15. So we just have to go 8 times 15. I know 4 groups of 15 is 60, so then 8 groups of 15 is double that, which is going to be a total of 120. So my answer is 120 root 7. Okay? Alright. So now let's take a look at the next one. The next one says, use distributive law to expand and simplify where possible. So now we're going back to our very first part here, and we're going to use our distributive law. So kind of like what we did there. Okay, so at the very beginning, I want to look back at that. So first of all, this must be multiplied to everything in there. So 7 into that, and the 7 into that. So I'm going to end up getting root 21 plus root 14. 7 times 3 is 21, 7 times 2 is 14. And that is it. I cannot add these. These are not common radicals, so we can't add them. Let's try this next one. So negative root 6. So there's a negative here, so that becomes negative 2. Then I have root 6 times 3 is 18. Okay? And then negative root 6 times negative root 2 is positive. And then 6 times 2 is 12. Positive root 12. Alright. Now both 18 and 12 I think can be converted down. This is the same as negative 2 root, because this is 9 and 2. 9 times 2 plus root 4 times 3. I know the square root of 9 is 3. So that's negative 2 multiplied by 3 root 2 plus 2 root 3. We can't combine these because they still aren't similar radicals. But this will give me negative 6 root 2 plus 2 root 3. And that is my final answer. Okay? Let's look at this last one. Now we're looking at variables. They always look scary, but they're not that bad. So I'm going to go to negative, or the square root of x, multiplied by 2 root x. This is going to give me 2 root x squared plus root x multiplied by root I is root xy. Now if I have x squared, square root of x squared, there's 2 x's in there. So that's just 2x plus root xy. Right? There's the 2. Okay? So that's how we do that. Last question before your assignment. It says, write and simplify it for the area. So we're trying to find the area of this. So we go, area is equal to base times height. Here we have 7 minus root 6 all multiplied by 4 plus root 6. So we have to start off, it's still same thing, distributive rule with FOIL. So we're doing kind of like this question here. So I must go 7 multiplied by 4. So first we're looking at the 7. 7 multiplied by 4 is 28. Okay, then we have to go 7 multiplied by root 6 is plus 7 root 6. So 7's done. Now we're looking at my root 6. Root 6 multiplied by root 4 is, or root 6 multiplied by 4 is plus, oh, that's a negative root 6. So it's minus 4 root 6. Now, negative root 6 multiplied by positive root 6 is negative root 36. Let's just continue this. We're going to get 28. And we have 7. These two are the same radicals. So if I have 7 and I take away 4, I'm going to be left with 3 root 6's. And then what's square root of negative 30, or square root of 36 is 6, so minus 6. So that's 22 plus 3 root 6. Because now I have 28 and a number, I can combine these and that will give me 22. Now here's the last one. So same idea. For a square, it is area is equal to side squared. In this case we have 2 root 18 minus root 27. And what do we want to do? We want to square that. So that's the same thing as 2 root 18 minus root 27 multiplied by 2 root 18 minus root 27. Okay. So, these are big numbers. I don't want to multiply those in. 18 multiplied by 18, well that's easy, but 18 multiplied by 27, oh, that's a big number. So I'm going to first simplify these out. So I know this is the same as 18, we have a 2 and a 9, and this is 3 and 3. So that's 3 root 2. So that's 2 multiplied by 3 root 2, which is essentially 6. Now 27, let's try 27, is 3 multiplied by 9, 3 and 3. So I can take out a pair of 3's. So minus 3 root 3. Because there's only one 3 left over, that just goes in there. Now the last one, we have, it's the same thing again. So that's 2 multiplied by 3 root 2 minus 3 root 3. So let's try and simplify this here. So I'm going to get 6 root 2 minus 3 root 3 all multiplied by 6 root 2 minus 3 root 3. Now these look a lot nicer to multiply. Small numbers makes things a lot easier. So first I'm going to look at this guy. So 6 root 2 multiplied by 6 root 2 is 36 root 4. Okay? So that one's done. Now 6 root 2 multiplied by negative 3 gives me negative 18. 6 times 3 is 18. And root 2 times root 3 is root 6. Okay, so this guy's done. Now we have to look at this guy, and he's negative. So negative 3 root 3 times 6 root 6. So that's going to be negative 18 again, and root 3 times root 2 is root 6. And then we go this multiplied by that. They're both negative, so that's going to give me a positive. 3 times 3 is 9, and we have root 9. Okay, so let's see what we end up getting now. This is the same as 2, so 36 times 2 is 72. Minus, we have two groups of 18, so really it's 18 minus 18, which will give me a total of negative 36 root 6. We can't simplify that root 6 anymore. Then we have to plus 9. What's the square root of 9? 3. So 9 multiplied by 3 is 27. So that's going to give me 99. 27 plus 72 is 99 minus 36 root 6. And that's my answer, okay? We have to combine these because they're like terms. And they both have a square root, so they're good. So I hope you understand this. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask tomorrow. And I'll see you tomorrow as we work on the lesson together.